everyone, and welcome to the UFC 240 preview show. You got Ryan and
Sean.
I was hoping I got you mid-sip there, so I apologize.
Well, I usually don't introduce myself, so I wasn't ready for that, but I felt what was happening there.
That's fair enough. Honestly, I'm so off-kilt today, man. Off-kilt, whatever. See, I can't even talk straight today, man. I'm just
It's the weekend for both of us at this point, so, we're ready to have fun, talk some fights. Cheers to the weekend. And
yes,
we are back
cheers.
after a month off.
Yeah.
So we're ready to get back into some fights, baby. Some main card pay-per-view. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
Big title fight, a couple other big fun fights. Let's get ready to go.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for this. It should be. It's a really weird card. I'm actually interested, from a perspective of just having a discussion about this. I'm kind of excited just to talk about it and talk about how awkward it is in some ways. I mean, we have two fights where I think all four guys in both the first fights on the main card are all coming off of losses.
Yeah, it's very interesting looking at this. Three of the four guys were huge prospects coming in. They looked like they had a lot of hype behind them, coming off of losses, looking to rebound. One of them has been around for a little bit, went on a huge win streak, coming off a couple of losses. Looking to get back on the win streak. So fortunes are going to change drastically for all four guys at this point.
That's for sure.
This is a big turning point for all of them. That's what's going to make for great fights.
And this is going to be. Obviously we have a lot of Canadians on the card, given that it's in Canada. It's always a great crowd up there.
Well, you have
love
Canada's favorite
those.
fighter since GSP's retired. Canada's favorite fighter is Max Holloway.
You think so? You don't think
It absolutely is 100%.
You don't think it's Albo and Mercier?
Nope.
Mm-hmm. He seems to have a good following up there.
This is like the third or fourth card Max is headlining Canada.
Hey, Max loves it, man. A dude from Hawaii. He loves going up to Canada.
He's called Canada the 10th island. So.
That's true. He has. That's right.
And they've embraced him. They love Max Holloway because he brings it.
That's for sure, man. All right. Well, before we kind of jump into the fight card here, let's talk first. Any fight announcements?
It's not much. Really, they've pretty much announced all the big fight announcements. But at the time of our last podcast, the only big one that's official right now is Cowboy Cerrone's fighting Justin Gaethje, and the headliner is September 14th in Vancouver. That is a free fight night on ESPN.
That's awesome.
That's going to be war.
Yeah.
That's 5 rounds of violence. If it makes it, they won't make it 5 rounds. Brian Ortega is also rumored to be fighting. Help me with his name.
Chan Sung
Jung, the Korean Zombie. Yes, thank you. That's hopefully going to be coming soon. Also, Yair Rodriguez is hoping to get that matchup with Zabit in Mexico. I believe they're going to Mexico City in September.
Damn, did they really? I didn't even see that announcement.
Yair's pushing he's pushing for that fight. It's not. I don't know if it's picking up any traction. It sounds like Jeremy Stevens is going to get that fight with Yair. But either way, whoever he gets matched up with, whether it's Zabit or Jeremy Stevens, that's violence.
Yeah, either way, I mean, that just goes to show you once again that the 145 division is stacked. It's
young talent. It's stacked with young talent.
That's the good news, man, is it certainly is. And then you just have Jose Aldo, who just re-signed.
You still got the old talent that's still performing really well, but you got the young talent, these young, hungry guns that are ready to get at it, and that's making you excited. The champion's young. The challengers are young. That's what gets you excited.
Yeah. And we have some pretty big pay-per-views coming up following this one, I think, in September,
this one
October.
Is a huge pay-per-view. Cormier's fighting Miocic. We'll obviously have a huge breakdown for that. That's going to be a fun one. Yoel and Paulo Costa are fighting. Nate Diaz is making his return since losing to Conor McGregor against Anthony Pettis. That's huge. I think there's a couple other big fights on there. I can't remember. But obviously, then after that, the pay-per-view is Khabib versus Poirier. Actually, that's the card I believe Brian Ortega and Chan Sung Jung are rumored to be on, so stay tuned for that one. That's going to be fun. Khabib's riding high, and he's kind of building himself into a draw, so I think they'll stack that card in Abu Dhabi. Not much else for fight announcements. Really, the only other UFC news is Thiago Santos finally got his surgery. He tore his ACL, MCL, PCL, and meniscus in his left knee in that fight, just to give you a little indication of what he went through. Not only that, he also re-injured his right knee, which he had to have surgery for. So he had surgery on both of his knees. The guy's in a lot of pain right now. He has to basically use a walker to get out of his wheelchair.
I saw. I'll have to try and remember to put it on Facebook, on our Facebook page. I saw a picture of him in his wheelchair, both his knees wrapped up. Dude, he's such a monster. He fought like the
Give
best
that guy the most respect in the world for fighting the best fighter ever on that. And some people think that he won. I don't think he won, but
no, I thought he showed
with
a ton of
healthy
heart.
knees, he could have maybe with how that fight went. But I don't know. We don't know. That's pretty much it for what's going on in the world of MMA right now.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. I don't think we have anything else crazy going on.
No,
right
it's
now.
not a. This is a weird card because it's a very good pay per view, but it's a very underwhelming prelim, which doesn't usually happen. They usually load these prelims up.
Yeah, actually, that brings up something I want to talk about later. Is like what makes a good pay-per-view card before it happens, because this is kind of a top-heavy card. Like I would say, the top 3 fights: the main event, co-main event, and then that one right before the co-main event, which we'll get into.
I think that's where you're getting your money.
Yeah, that's what, and we'll talk about that later. I want to talk about that a little bit. Just how do you find value in paying for a $60 pay-per-view on top of that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you figure that when you go into a fight, especially when you're looking at one like this where
Like from a matchmaking standpoint too, like how do you put this card together and think,
I think if you're a casual fan, fun, right? If you're a casual fan, your one fight, like if the Nico Price Geoff Neal fight got scrapped, would you buy this card for $60?
Right. Yeah, I feel you.
You know what I mean? So we'll get into that in a little bit. But as far as early prelims and prelims go, I don't think that there's anything like too notable in here. We have a lot of prospects like Hakeem Dawodu.
Yeah, he's we watched both of his fights in the UFC. He's a former pro kickboxer. Hasn't really stood out to us though. I know from the 2 fights that we've watched.
No, but he's still a guy that they're keeping on.
Well, he's looked good, but he hasn't. You watch some of these other pro kickboxers that have transitioned to MMA, like Wonderboy Thompson and Israel Adesanya, and they're just lighting it up. They're super excited, getting flashing knockouts.
Yeah,
they just look dominant. Right? Yeah. They look like they're a class above their opponent. He hasn't quite looked like that yet.
And the only other one too that I'd point out on here, which is getting kind of overlooked, is Alexandre Pantoja.
Yeah.
He has had some sick knockouts, especially at flyweight. I think he was on one of the last pay-per-view events that we covered.
He was a part of the Ultimate Fighter series where the winner got to face Demetrius Johnson. He was the favorite, actually, I believe, to win that series, and he didn't end up making it. He might have got injured. I don't remember. But fighting Davidson Figueroa, that's a big fight for him.
Yeah, it is. It's a step up in competition, but that's also because I think he's knocked out a few guys in a row here, so he's looking pretty good. So, I mean, again, not really much on here. I mean, that's not to say that it'll be bad, prelims and early prelims, because sometimes those fights you never expect.
Never know.
Exactly.
Sometimes the fights that are underlooked the most are the ones that make the best because those guys know nobody's watching them, so they're trying to earn their due.
And I would almost say, obviously, if this wasn't in Canada, that Pantoja fight would probably be on the main card because especially, too, when you consider the rankings, that's number 3 versus number 4.
It's the highest ranking matchup besides the title fight.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, the only reason that didn't make it is because obviously they have some Canadian favorites, or at least one Canadian favorite fighting on there, and then they have another Canadian on there. So for the fight. So with that,
I consider Max Canadian at this point.
Okay, so 3 then.
Yeah, Max is Canadian, the Canadian pride, which is weird. He's from Hawaii.
Yeah.
But at this point, they love Max more than they love anybody except GSP.
GSP is God. Okay, up there.
Even more, I almost put Max up there above Rory McDonald at this point.
You put, 100%. I would agree with that.
In terms of Canadian popularity, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about just overall, but Max, because they keep putting him up there because he's selling.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's jump into it, man. We got 5 fights to cover on this card.
Kicking off as a Canadian.
Yeah, we got Baralt versus Joko.
Andre Pardabar. Christoph Joko. This is an interesting fight. Burial seems to have the power, that the UFC is looking for. He's a knockout guy, 73% KO rate. Joko I remember he was a big prospect coming out, but I don't think he's really showing up the way they thought he has been. So maybe this is a test to see where both guys are. I think they're hoping that they're setting this up for Burial to shine.
Yeah, Barrel. Some people said that he had because he lost in his UFC debut. But some people said that he showed some signs that he could potentially be a good prospect at middleweight, just because he was able to have decent takedown defense, which is something that he's going to need on par against Joko, because that's his strength right there.
And you can't really win the prospects making their MMA debut, especially highly touted prospects. You can't always take a loss too seriously because they usually throw them in there with dogs.
Yeah,
they throw them in there. Said they don't. The higher you are coming in, the more they're going to test you.
Yeah,
right out the gate. Whether you agree with it or not, it's just the way the UFC works.
Yeah, and he's a heavy hitter. At least from the one fight I was able to see, and then just kind of determining from his statistics as well, we could tell he's going to be a power puncher. He's going to try and keep this on the feet, obviously. To me, this is a typical grappler versus striker matchup. I think it's interesting as well because both these guys are kind of coming off I guess Barral isn't coming off a rough streak because he lost in his UFC debut, but some people said that there was still signs there that he could be a good prospect. Joko's on the flip though, because he lost three fights in a row, 2 of them in devastating fashion. He got knocked out, but I mean he also faced some dudes there in that stretch. He faced
Uriah Hall. I know he faced
David Branch, Brad Tavares.
Yeah, those are some pretty tough guys to face early on.
Yeah,
but that just shows you he can be knocked out, and obviously they're matching up with a guy that has a lot of knockouts. So who they're favoring in this is pretty obvious.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I really don't even think we need to break it down other than this is exactly what you think it needs to be. Is Joko needs to keep it, or he needs to get this fight to the ground. Barral needs to keep this thing standing.
Classic grappler versus striker.
Yeah. So we'll see if Joko, how he handles, I think, that in between or that close range, how he handles the short range. Is he able to stay out of that and keep away from the heavy hitter, and be able to time his takedowns properly, or is Barral going to be able to attack him a few times, get him a little nervous, and be able to stuff those takedowns? I mean, that's going to pretty much be the tail of the tape for this one. Anything else that you want to add in there?
Not really. I think it's probably a good fight to kick off the card.
Yeah.
I think Barral will probably knock him out.
Yeah, you think so?
Usually in these grapplers, the grapplers who are easily knocked out usually don't fare well against power punchers.
Yeah, it's always tough to see too, because you see a lot of guys come in, they got a ton of knockouts, but their power doesn't necessarily translate when they're fighting the higher caliber guys. When you're fighting in a UFC or Bellator,
usually you favor the grappler. But when they got to close that distance and they don't have a great chin, it's tough to pick them.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a great point. I mean, the only thing I would say going for Joko otherwise is he has some experience in the cage. I believe this is his 12th UFC fight.
Yep.
He fights out of American Top Team, so I mean, he comes from training. He comes from a great camp. Your mic's about to fall off the table there.
Who set this up? Whitney?
I did. No, Whitney did. No, we did. Okay. I digress. Anyway, so so you have Joko, you said, or no? You said you have Barral. I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Joko on this one. Just from a wrestling perspective, I tend to go with guys that have strong wrestling prowess over a power puncher. And the Vegas odds on this were close. Did you have the Vegas odds up? If not, I can always. It's all right. I had to put them up here already. So Joko's the slight favorite on here, the minus 160.
He's had the more UFC fights. He's the veteran.
Yeah, to Barral's plus 130. That's probably as close as. I mean, that's what you're going to see there. So there's no surprises on that one. So.
Barral is landing at a 4.6 strikes landed per minute, so
that's all also from one fight, though.
Oh, you're right. I'm on the UFC stats. Good call.
Yeah,
fight metrics wasn't working, so.
Yeah. And the other thing about their metrics sometimes that can be tricky is because the UFC also owns a few subdivisions as well, or sub brands. So sometimes they pull those stats in there. Like I saw some stats from a guy that's was making his UFC debut, but it recorded like 5 or 6 fights, and I realized it was because it was from another sub brand that the UFC has or they work with. So sometimes those stats are weird, but I think for him that should only be that first fight that he had that he lost by decision. So, but anyways, yeah, I mean it is what it is. Striker versus grappler should be entertaining. I think Joko at least is well rounded enough that it should be entertaining, and we'll see what Baral can do. Do I need to end this in our new fashion? Hold on.
Oh, with the bell?
Sean, you're ruining it for me. Yeah, I guess that sounded.
Maybe you should figure it
out. Maybe I should figure it out. All right, cool, man. Let's move on to the next fight.
Speaking of Canada, by the way, Olivier Aubin-Mercier, the next fight, the Canadian gangster, taking on Armand. I don't even know how to say his last name. I'm a butcher.
Sarukin.
Sarukin?
Yeah, Sarukin. I think the T is silent.
Just like Django. The D is silent.
FYI, the sound is kind of echoing in your video. Our sound. All right, we need to fix that, Sean. So don't echo, okay? Here, let me turn down the volume a little bit. All right, Sean. So with Olivier, he's going to be the favorite, obviously, in this one. He has a big following, especially when it comes to the Canadian crowd. They love him. He's had a rough go. He's on a 2-fight skid.
And the mustache shows it. The mustache is terrible. He's had it for those last couple fights. He hasn't been winning. I don't know why he still has it. It's just in this picture. So hopefully he shaved it. I'm sorry, it's bothering me.
I want to say, did he shave it?
Can we talk about something? Why do fighters have just a mustache?
It's one of those things, man. It comes back. It
doesn't come. It's never. It has never come back. I'm sorry. It just never in my life have I been like, you know what? That's a great mustache. It's got to go with the beard. You have to have a beard.
All right, but what if he has a handlebar mustache?
Nope. It just doesn't work for me.
Okay. Not even. So even if there's like a little twist to it, nothing like that.
Nope. I'm not digging it. There's no beard. I'm not liking it.
What's his name at 125 that used to rock the crazy
Ian McCall? Well, he had a beard, I'm pretty sure.
No, he just had. Well, he changed his style up though.
All right, to be fair, his nickname was Uncle Creepy, so he was living up to the nickname.
Okay. All right, fair enough. He definitely looked like somebody that could tell you his favorite craft brew off the top of his head.
Absolutely, he did, because he had the nice fade cut too to go with it, with the comb over, gelled.
All right.
I'm just saying he looked like a guy.
No, you're right. No, you're one.
He looked like a guy that could tell you like this IPA is great. We're getting notes in here.
We're getting live notes in the studio.
I don't read freaky deaky Dutch.
Okay. All right, hold on 1 second. Let's play with this a little bit.
What's happening?
The sound is echoing just a little bit, so it's probably a little frustrating, a little annoying there. Just gotta play with the sound real quick.
Good thing we have an engineer to tell us. We don't pay him.
Don't pay him nothing. All right, let's see.
He gets paid in fight knowledge.
So, Sean, why don't you start? Oh, yeah, who was the last guy that Mercier fought? I just watched this a couple days ago.
Let me pull him up real quick. I'm pulling him up right now. Mercier is always on the Canadian cards. But we did just watch him recently. Gilbert Burns.
That's right.
Decision fight,
yeah, he got burned by Burns.
Wow, that was something else. He also lost to Alexander Hernandez, who just fought last week. But Hernandez has not looked great his last 2 fights.
No, I didn't think Hernandez looked very impressive. Actually, I don't even know if he really won that fight.
He did beat Evan Dunham. He did not win that fight, in my opinion. He did beat Evan Dunham. I don't know who Martin is. He beat Drew Dober, who's been on a pretty good hot streak. I don't know who Cody is. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of, to me, in a stacked division, he's one of those good guys that have right outside of the rankings that always is testing fighters. Yeah. Or he's always putting on a decent fight. Like he's not really generally a boring fighter, even though he doesn't get a lot of knockouts. He does get a lot of submissions. But he's not necessarily a boring fighter to me. I always do enjoy his fights. I don't think they're ever like overly the top, like, oh my God, this guy is so exciting. But he usually does put on a fairly entertaining fight.
Yeah, he's a good, well-rounded fighter. He's a black belt in judo.
He is Faraz a hobby student, so,
Yeah, absolutely.
He is going to be grappling-based.
Yeah, and I think that's the I think that'll be the interesting thing here. Obviously, going back is seeing how well-rounded he can fight against this newcomer in Sarukian. I don't even know.
Much on him. So.
No, because he just made his UFC debut. He just appeared recently.
He's coming off a loss too.
He's coming off a loss, but
we were saying that the top 4 or the first 2 fights, all 4 guys are coming off a loss. So this is kind of a weird thing we're in here.
Yeah, absolutely. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Sarukian was, I think he was supposed to lose his first fight, but he did it in impressive fashion, if that makes sense, because the guy that he fought, if I remember correctly, trains with Khabib. Mm-hmm. And so they were they were very much expecting him to just ragdoll Sarukian, but he was able to stay up. He was able to have good takedown defense. I think he impressed people a lot because he's a power puncher. He has a ton of finishes. That was also his first loss. He's only 12-1. So I'm trying to see if I took that down. Dang, no, I didn't. But hold on one second. Just checking the sound here. I know we're kind of ruining the flow.
In 12 wins, he's at 42% knockout and 42% sub. So, I mean.
Yeah, but also, like when you're fighting in some of those lower divisions, you can also get subs because you're punching a guy and then you jump on top of him, get that body lock, and tap him out.
Finish is a finish to me.
No, it is. It is for sure.
Rates.
It is for sure. But obviously, he's not the. All right, cool. I know. Just got confirmation that our audio is good, so I just want to make sure.
As 2 guys that watch MMA more on a introspective level, we just want to see people win, right? In an exciting fashion. We don't really care if it's knockout, sub, or even if it's just a fun fight.
Yeah.
For people who put on an entertaining fight that are going to give us our money's worth.
Yeah, and that's part of it here, man. Seeing how Olivier's style is going to match up. He's a lefty. He's a black belt in judo.
He's going to be well coached.
Well coached. He's going to come in with a great game plan. He has the gas tank to go all 3.
He's athletic. Terrible mustache, but I'm not going to hold it against him, even though it sounds like it.
And the thing here too is he has something to fight for, right? Because
coming off of 2 losses, this is huge. We always talk about this. The 3-loss streak in the UFC is huge. That's usually when they cut you.
Yeah, that number 3 is a scary number if you're on the loss side when you're in the UFC.
When you're a young guy and you haven't really proved anything, you don't want to start off with 2 losses either.
No, even if they're 2 impressive losses, it's still tough to come back from that.
Yeah,
not saying it's impossible by any means, but
our champion also came off of 2 losses early in his career, so on this card.
Yeah, so it's hard.
He
also had to come back and win for 4 years straight.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not a successful path to take. That's if there's only one person that's really done that. So
yeah, that's kind of
tough.
Armand,
for both these guys, this is a must-win fight.
Yeah,
that's why I think these first 2 fights are going to be generally exciting because these are must-win fights for both of these guys. This isn't like veterans who have been winning a lot lately, and if they lose, whatever. They still get paid. These are 4 guys that. They're on the cusp of getting cut.
Yeah,
and the UFC is always looking to save money, and if they can cut somebody, they can. Don't give them a reason. That's what these 4 guys are looking at.
Yeah, and usually this is something that we would see on the prelims, right? Like some guys that are coming off losses trying to keep their contract. I mean, granted, to your point, like this makes for a good fight. Both of them have something to fight for right now. You have a hitter versus a grappler, but I would say a more evolved grappler in Mercier. He's definitely, he has some experience now. So this will be interesting. I want to see Armand. He's only had that 1 fight in the UFC. I haven't seen it, so I'm really just going off of what I've read about him and some of the reviews on him. It's another weird one too, man. I mean, having him on the main event. But I think the cool thing here and what I love seeing from the UFC is they're really digging into that new pipeline in Eastern Europe, in the Middle East.
Yep.
To go find these guys because Armand is out of Georgia, not the state, the country. And then, we have a Polish fighter on here too. Not that that's too weird because we have a few Polish fighters in the UFC, both on the men's and women's side. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a lot more Russians, coming in here. And then we have the card in Abu Dhabi, which I'm sure will be flooded with new Middle Eastern fighters, which is exciting. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a new pipeline in Africa.
Muhammad's probably going to be on that.
He's the man.
Yeah.
But so this should be, again, I think if anything, we're just going to see some good fighters fight here. Some athletic guys fight here. and we'll see what goes from there. Anything notable? I mean, Olivier Mercier, he has good combos. He doesn't have one punch knockout power.
No, he's a volume guy. He's gonna have good conditioning. He is a grappler. He's a grappler first.
Yeah, he doesn't move his head though, so there's a lot of potential for him to get popped. Like he'll come in. It must weigh his face down because he's not like bobbing weaving or anything. He comes in, he'll throw like 3-4 punch combos, which are really nice, but he's not moving left or right. He's not moving his head. So it'll be interesting to see if Armand can like kind of take advantage of that. So I think that's kind of the thing to watch there.
Yeah, I think it'll be somewhat entertaining fight. I think they expect a decision out of that, though. I don't think there'll be any finish.
No. Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Mercier's. I mean, he's too durable.
Yeah, veteran.
Unless this kid's got
highly touted lightweights, toughest division in my opinion in the UFC.
Yeah,
and he's had a lot of success in there.
Yeah. So I mean, do you feel comfortable picking somebody here? I mean, we've never really seen Armand fight before.
Really.
This is only his second fight in the UFC, and I think he fought in some.
I'd pick Abier just because he's a
home country
experience, he's a veteran. Yeah, and I think because he knows, I think this is a bigger fight for him than it is for Armand. Even though Armand's coming off his loss in his debut, Abier's coming off of 2 straight losses, and this could be it for him.
Yeah, fair enough. Here, I'll give it. Are we getting it? No.
Hold on. I don't hear nothing.
Where's my boxing? Where's my boxing sound? Oh, there it is. Yeah. I'm not gonna pick anybody. That's why I hit the sound effect there. I'm just gonna kind of rely on Vegas to pick for me. So for this one, where do we have it? So Armand's actually the favorite in here. He's the -205.
That's interesting.
To Mercier's +165. That is actually very interesting, especially from a guy that you've only really seen one fight out of.
Yeah, you don't really know because even his opponent, you don't really know what he's made of either. So you just don't know what you're getting yet.
Pretty crazy to me. But all right, man, let's move on to the more exciting fights. Yeah, I think
now we're getting to the top heavy part. This is where the money's going to start.
Let's just say for what this is one of the people's fight right here, man.
I think, if you're a hardcore fan, you know this fight. Mm-hmm. If you're a casual fan, you're going to learn.
Yeah, so if you're from Fort Myers or you're from the 239, you're from Lee County.
Yeah, you know the name Nico Price.
You should be a Nico Price fan.
This is cool for us because anybody who isn't from Fort Myers that's watching this, Nico Price is from Cape Coral, which is just minutes from us.
Same county, baby.
Yeah, he's a hometown boy for us, so we love him. He's put on exciting fights. He's 13-2. He's had some great knockouts, even in the UFC.
Not to mention he's wild as shit. Like
he's game. He's game for a fight.
That's what everybody says is you just can't count him out. He's just wild and he's athletic.
But he's
big.
also fighting a dude.
Joff Neal.
A man.
Wow, Joff Neal. I like him. I just don't know if he's all the way there yet. I think
Neal?
Besides Bilal, I don't know if he's been proven enough to get too excited.
For Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I got a completely different feeling when I watched him fight.
So I'll say this. I love his jab. His footwork is really good.
Boxing is great.
I think that he can be hesitant on his left hand. We've seen that he has a nice high kick. He did finish somebody in the UFC with a nice left leg high kick.
Yep.
He uses his lefty advantage to his advantage, but the problem is he's used to being longer than everybody, and he's actually going to be the shorter man in this fight.
See, it's funny you say that because I don't think that he's that long.
But he fights long, though, is because he has a great jab. He has a quick jab with quick footwork to move in and out of the space.
I think he relies more on his speed than his length.
I mean, you figure
that's kind of what I got.
You figure he's what 6'1" at welterweight.
He's got
a pretty long reach.
That's decent
too.
For welterweight. That's not like outstanding, I don't think.
Well, I mean, when you consider the guys that he's fought, I mean, he's he hasn't fought the top guys at the welterweight division just yet. Yeah. Where you have, God, what's his name? I can't even think off the top of my head. Where you have the Usman, the Colby Covingtons, the oh my God, what's his name that just got knocked out by Masvidal 2 fights ago? Darren Till. Yeah, you don't have those guys in the lower part of the weight class. So I think that this is a huge step up in competition, whereas I think Nico's seen that kind of competition already.
This is the thing I was thinking about when I was watching Nico fight Abdul Hazak Al Hassan.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same body type, and is the same power puncher.
Yeah.
And he didn't handle that well at all.
No.
His lone knockout loss. He got torched early in that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the only problem. Nico does take a lot of shots.
And when you watch that fight too, one note that the commentators made that stuck with me is that Nico likes to beat guys at their own game, and that's not a great game plan when you're fighting power strikers.
Yeah, but the other thing about that kid that he lost to is that guy's also a monster. He is,
but Jeff Neal's been knocking dudes out.
He has, but I think but I don't know if it's at this. All right, let's roll back to Nico's last loss against Abdul. Yeah. So Abdul is also he's 11-1, and in his 11 wins, he has 11 first round knockouts.
He does.
And his only loss was a split decision loss. He is
also a black belt in judo.
He's crazy. Like that's some next level shit to have 11 first round knockouts, literally all of your wins. You didn't even have to bother going to the second round. I mean, that's just insane. Can you say that Jeff Neal has that kind of prowess in his striking?
The thing that I liked about his fight, I can't remember the guy's name, the one that he head kick knocked out.
Camuzzi?
Yeah, Camuzzi. Frank Camuzzi?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that was a little bit. He had to exert some energy in that fight, and to me, he didn't look overly tired. He looked like he could fight 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. His style, he could fight his fight for 15 minutes. That's what I got out of that fight with that.
No,
and that's impressive to me because usually power punchers they fade early, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, and like I said, all credit. I think Geoff Neal, however you want to pronounce it.
That's Jeff.
Jeff Neal, it's Geoff. That pisses me off.
Yeah,
I hate that. Jeff. All right, I'm sidetracking here. Too much rum already. He uses his length. He's strong. He's a great boxer, but we'll see if this is going to be a big step up in competition for him. This is going to be his fourth main fight in the UFC, not considering his Dana White Contender Series fight. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think Bilal was his biggest fight to date.
He was, and he won by decision.
Yeah, and Bilal, he's a tough guy. He's a game guy. He beat him up. He didn't finish him. I didn't think he was coming too close to finishing him. I mean, he beat him up pretty bad, but no, and it does. But I'm just saying, when you got a guy that's as tough as Nico coming at you, and he's ferocious, he's creative, he's gonna grapple with you, because you know what? That's what I was gonna say before is, I don't think he's gonna make that same mistake again, where he's gonna be trying to fight your game. That we have heard that before. We actually have heard that in our inner circle as well locally. Yeah. He likes to, which, hey man, all credit to you. You like to fight somebody at their game and prove that you're better than them there.
Take some dog.
Yeah, sure. That's exactly what Nico is. He's a fucking dog, but
he is. But when somebody suffers a knockout like he did, I just have a hard time, bouncing. Because he even had problems in his last fight. He was getting beat up a little bit, and he caught Tim Means with the left hook.
Tim Means is a nasty boxer.
He is, dude. He is. Absolutely.
Tim Means is a nasty boxer.
He's the dirty bird for a reason.
Yeah, and guess what? He came in, and Nico finished him.
He did.
He finished him. And that's going to be the thing, I think, here. I don't know why. I feel like when they were talking about Jeff Neal, they said he had oversized hands or something for a lightweight, too, if I remember correctly.
Welterweight.
Or welterweight, sorry. They said that his glove size, so it makes his jabs pop a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it's like Tony Ferguson. Like they said, Tony Ferguson has big hands.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't throw a lot of power behind his shots because his hands are so big that he can just generate natural power.
Yeah. But I think the thing that Jeff Neal has is he does have that very, very crisp jab. And we'll see. I think the big thing here is to see if Nico goes right. You know what I mean by that? Mm-hmm. He
circles off the power side.
Is he going to circle off the power side? Exactly. I think that's going to be the telling part there, and then to see how Jeff Neal can either bait him that way.
It's interesting because didn't his camp fold?
Who's that?
Nico? Didn't that camp fold? Didn't you say? Or isn't that what we were talking
I think he's had his own camp out there in Cape for a while.
I thought he opened up his own team.
He was, but Top Team on the West Coast closed.
Is he?
He was part of that a while ago. Yeah. On the West Coast of Florida. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, West Coast of Florida, because they're all up and down the East Coast. But and then I think they only had the one camp on the West Coast in Cape Coral, Florida, and that shut down. But he's had his own gym for a little while, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he folded. Maybe he went. I don't know where he went after that. So
Yeah, but regardless, both these guys. But there's 29 MMA fights, pro fights between these guys. Only 2, or is it? Oh no, I'm sorry. Only 4 have gone to decision between the both of them, and I think Nico's only gone to decision once or twice. I think he's once.
Jeff Neal in about. What is it? I think I just counted 6 or 7 rounds in the UFC. He's landing 6 strikes per minute.
Yeah, Actually, go ahead and read off some of the stats because I remember looking at it.
Nico's not overly offensive output guy. 2.93. That's not bad. It's not elite level.
No.
Jeff though,
not elite
6 in 4 fights. That's pretty crazy. 6 in 4 fights is pretty crazy. 44%. Not.
Can you specify on that, please? I mean, I know what you're talking about. Just specify for the crowd.
I'm sorry. What?
Because you're saying 6.
Oh, 6 strikes landed per minute?
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, it's technically 5.95, but I'm just rounding up because, I mean...
Yeah, 5.95. You're good.
Defense, not overly great for both of them, which puts us a great fight for us because they're both absorbing 4 a minute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's fun for us. Defense, Jeff's at 67%, Nico's at 54%. Not much grappling stats for Jeff.
No,
he does have a 91%
Jeff.
Takedown defense,
Yep.
which is huge because if he keeps the fight standing, I don't see how he loses if the fight's standing. In my opinion,
by that high land percentage that he has them. That's why.
Yeah.
It'll be to see who can outlast each other.
And that's a lot of volume for a power puncher. For a guy who's got power.
No, for sure. If anything, man, I'm just excited. This is the people's fight here.
When I look at these stats in terms of just striking, I'm gonna take the guy who can land more than he absorbs. Nico's absorbing twice as much as he's landing.
Some guys just have that thing, man. I think Nico does.
My heart wants to pick the hometown boy, but I'm just going with the stats on this one.
See, because I always go back to Nico's creativity, man. Look at that Randy Brown fight.
He's very creative.
Look at that Randy Brown fight where he made that crazy highlight reel knockout where he's in this awkward position with him and he has him pinned. He has his head pinned against a fence. He's on the bottom and he just hammer fists this guy out, like just out, clean out, nasty knockout. And
I've never seen anybody get a knockout.
Nobody has.
Like that, at least with their hands.
And that's the thing is, I think he could just be creative, and that's where I'm hoping to. I like Jeff Neal. I'd like to see him develop. I don't think he's fought enough high level guys.
I think this is where it starts, though.
I think Nico has fought a lot of high level guys. If I could I'm just gonna pull him up real quick, just to go back and look at his track record since he's gotten the UFC. He started. Was it Alan Jobin? He came into the UFC against.
I can tell you in a second here.
I know he fought him pretty early.
He did fight Alan Jobin. He beat him. He knocked him out.
Yeah, that was. I think
his first fight was against Brandon Thatcher.
That's right. Brandon Thatcher, who was a UFC vet, he finished him by sub.
He got submitted by Vicente Luque, who's a dog. That
Vicente Luque is crazy, man. He's a great welterweight.
Beat Randy Brown. He lost to Alisson, and he beat Tim Means. So he's got wins over solid UFC vets.
And he just fought Tim Means too, who he finished in the.
His 2 losses in the UFC are to guys who know how to fucking finish a fight.
Because I'm excited to see Al Hassan. We haven't seen him since that Nico Price fight. I don't know if he's been injured or something. You would think they wanted him back in the UFC as quick as possible. So there must be something up with him. But yeah, he's fought some guys, man. So you know what? To your point, I guess for Jeff Neal, this is his first test at a high level to see. I think that whoever wins here can eventually crack or is going to crack that top 15.
Yeah, I can see that.
For welterweight. Actually, real quick, let's go look at the welterweight rankings real quick. I don't know why I didn't think to pull this up earlier. Let's pull it up.
Pull it up.
Oh, here we go.
We like rankings, even though they're voted on people we don't know.
Welterweight's insane.
Welterweight is right there with lightweight.
Even if you just look at 10 through 15, Ben Askren, Robbie Lawler, Damian Maia, Neil Magny. You have Elizu Dos Santos and Vincent Luque.
Yeah. Vicente Luque is one of my sleepers at welterweight.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, man. I
remember the first time I did DraftKings, I picked that guy. It was actually the opening Madison Square Garden card. First time they ever went there, he was on that card. was like, I don't know this dude, but he's got a lot of knockouts. Got a knockout for me, baby. Want me some money, Vicente? What's up?
That's pretty funny. I could easily see one of these guys cracking this top 15 if they get a win here. I mean,
this is a good fight.
Because I mean, if just looking at the top 15,
especially for Jeff Neal, if you win 5 in a row at welterweight, you're getting ranked, I think.
If you win 5 in a row, welter, for sure,
yeah.
But I mean, like Damian Maia doesn't need to be in the top 15. He's not gonna have another crack at the title there.
He just really hasn't looked much since his title fight.
14 and 15, that's easy to bounce in and out, but who knows how. I mean, man, I guess there really isn't too many. I mean, Damian Maia, Robbie Lawler, but they'll want to keep Lawler up there.
The fucking crazy ass motherfucker. Let me see real quick. Where's welterweight?
It's actually kind of hard to tell, actually, because I know. I mean, maybe the only spot I see coming down is Maia. I can see, they need a reason to keep Lawler up there. Askren.
No, that's not the guy I was thinking of. But this Dos Santos guy, I do know they're very high on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, all right, to me, looking at this now, I think that there's really only one spot, and it's that number 12 spot with Damian Maia. I think that's really the only spot that you can overtake.
Neil Magny's another one, though, because, I mean, he's in and out of fights. He's getting knocked out.
Yeah, but I think he's a guy that, because he's a little bit younger, Damian Maia's had his shots. No, but what I mean to say is, like, Maia's had his shots, right? Like, he's not going to get another title shot unless he did something absolutely insane, like knockout.
But dude, you even look through that 1 through 9 is fucking.
That's what I'm saying. Now that I'm looking at it, Jeff Neal and Nico Price, depending on how they finish this, there might be one spot in that top 15, and really, I think that's only in that 12 spot. I think it goes to
one of them.
Yeah.
After this.
Move everybody up, take Maia out.
Right there. They're right there in the class.
Absolutely.
Maybe they get a fight with Vicente Luque. I like the winner of this fight to get one with them.
All right, Sean. Hold on. Let's do this. Oh, crap. I keep forgetting to turn. There we go. I know we need to start moving on here a little bit. All right, pick for this fight.
Jeff Neal. I think he gets a finish in this one.
You're a traitor.
I know. It hurts me to say it because I want to say
it. It must not hurt you enough because you look pretty fine over there. You don't look like you're hunching over in pain or anything. You're betraying our 239, brother.
I don't know him personally.
You're betraying the local guy. I'm going with Nico Price through and through. I want to see him use his creativity. I want to see him get this to the ground where he can just ground and pound, see something crazy come out from him. I'm picking Nico Price here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking more with my brain than my heart on this one. I feel in my opinion.
You know me, I always go with my heart, man.
I don't think it's going to be boring. I don't think it's going to be uncompetitive, though. I don't think it's going to be dominant either way or boring in any fashion. I think it's going to be a fun fight. It's a firefight. I'm just picking Neal to land a big shot.
Let's do this, too, because you and I, we kind of lean and we prefer our strikers and stuff like that. So if you had to do 2 keys to victory for each guy, what would it be?
Well, for Nico, it's grind. Grind this out. Put him on the cage, grapple him. Even if you don't get him down, just put him up against a cage, wear him down. Almost an Usman versus Woodley type. You know what I'm saying? Like, just get him up there, land strikes, outpoint him. If it's Jeff Neal, stay on the outside. Just keep picking your shots. Rely on your boxing technique, your footwork. Don't overexert yourself.
Yeah, so just to go off of that, because I think that was a good segue. Jeff Neal can't overcommit when he sees blood in the water right away. Mm-hmm. Nico Price has 2 knockout wins in the UFC by guys that
he's coming off a win where he was getting a little battered up.
Twice he's done that.
His last fight.
No, and to your point, that's what I'm saying. To your point, Jeff Neal needs to keep the range. He needs to be the quicker, more precise boxer.
Which is funny because I think Nico Price would actually have the range on him, but I think Jeff Neal's technique and his speed will keep him at range. Yeah. Keep him in his own range.
These guys are both very athletic, just in their own ways. Keys to victory for Nico, I think you're right. And the other one I have for Jeff Neal is get Nico to go to your left. That's the other thing. I know it sounds very simple, but it's not always that simple.
Listen, the greatest knockout, in my opinion, in UFC history was Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping, and he got Bisping to circle to that right H-bomb.
Oh my God, that was insane.
So I mean, you always want somebody to circle to that power side so you can.
Wasn't it Joe Rogan that said, "Why does he keep circling?"
He did
that
actually
road?
Just even a minute before he goes, Michael's really got to get away from circling to to Henderson's right, and then bang,
bam, he done. And then I think
there it is. He called it too. Right? As soon as Henderson threw, he goes, there it is.
Yeah, and then Henderson also knocked out Bisping's ghost when it was trying to leave his body, and actually brought Bisping back to life, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so Jeff Neal, his 2 keys to victory: keep the range, stay long, stay sharp, stay fast, and he also needs to get Nico to his left. That's going to be where his power is. And lefties, a lot of the time, if you're not like too familiar with like boxing, kickboxing, you got to think lefties have the advantage over righties typically because they're going to see more right-handed fighters in sparring.
It's
so
the
they're
same thing
used
with baseball.
to it.
You know, we're baseball players. Lefties always have an advantage over righties compared to righties over lefties because they're just used to it.
They're used to it. Exactly. Thank you. That was a great point. Nico, be creative. Bait him in when you need to. Finish him. Counter. Bait him in, finish him. That's
grapple your ass off.
Yes, 100%. And that's what I meant by be creative.
The funny thing is, even though I'm not super reliable on Nico's chin, I think he needs to make it dirty.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because Jeff's a very technical fighter, and when Frank Camozzi was having success in his fight, he was making a dog fight. He's making it dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff did good in that fight to get away from that a little bit because even you could see him, he was excited about that a little bit, about the dog fight. But he backed away a little bit. Like, all right, I'm beating this guy with my technique. I don't need to do this.
And that'll be a good and that was one of my keys to victory with him. He can't, when he smells the blood, he can't overcommit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He can't overcommit, and if he does that, I think he'll have great success. But still picking Nico.
Yeah.
239.
As much as it hurts me, I'll be the bad guy. I don't give a shit. Nico, it's not the personal, man. I'm rooting for you at heart. I'm rooting for you, but I'm picking with my brain here.
All right. So do you happen to have the odds up in front of you?
I don't have any odds. You have the odds. I thought.
Oh my goodness, Sean.
You said you had the odds on the last one, man.
Yeah, I know. So Neal's actually a pretty big favorite. He's the minus 335 to Price's plus 255. Yeah. So Vegas agrees with you on that one. And obviously,
smart.
obviously that's why we were spending a little bit more time on there, because this is the people's fight. So
I don't know if it's necessarily a people's fight. This is our fight.
I think Nico and Jeff have a huge following within the MMA community.
But I'll say this. You can't have a people's fight when Max Holloway is
that's the only reason why. Yeah, that I know. Well, I think the only reason people aren't excited about watching Holloway is because Frankie Edgar.
But it's Holloway. I mean, Holloway's gonna make it.
We'll get there in just 1 minute. Yeah. We have one more exciting fight
that we'll segue into here, because Chris Cyborg's making her return after getting knocked the fuck out at featherweight. She's fighting the undefeated Felicia Spencer, who's been calling for this fight.
Yeah. So, what are your initial thoughts on this?
This one, to me, it just seems like another girl who's kind of out of her realm fighting Cyborg.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I watch her fight Megan, she's a grappler. I've watched Cyborg fight grapplers, and she's handled them. I don't know. I just think when Cyborg touches you, it's just not going to be a good night. And you got to close that distance. It's the same thing that we talked about earlier with Joko and Beralt. When you got to close that distance as a grappler, if you don't have the striking to close that distance, it's going to be a long night, or a short night, really.
It's going to be a long, short night.
It's going to be a long night, but also a short night, because you're going to get knocked the fuck out. If you can't set up with a jab, some combos to get them thinking about your hands, if you're just worried about your striking against somebody like Cyborg, because Cyborg can fucking grapple too. It's not like she's just a pure striker.
Seriously.
She can grapple her ass off. So if you're just going to come at her straight with grappling, she's going to fucking piece you up, son.
This isn't a good matchup. You have a girl that's 6-0 coming in to fight Cyborg. Yeah. She's undersized. I mean, not too undersized. She's undersized fighting Cyborg. Let's just put it that way. Because here's the other thing. Cyborg is pissed off right now. Dana's pissing her off every day when he's going on there, and he's being...
Yeah, Dana's saying some bullshit like, oh, we might sign her to one fight contract just to fight a man who's... Like, what? What are you talking about? You have, one of the most exciting women fighters ever to live, and you're only going to sign her to a one-fight contract?
Before Amanda knocked her out, she was considered the greatest female fighter in MMA history. Yeah. Now Amanda's rightfully so taking that spot.
Yeah, Amanda's definitely taking
100%. Just because of the laundry list of fighters she's fought and beat.
And knocked out.
But I mean right after Amanda, it's Cyborg.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
but what Dana's been saying over social media is
They've
that
been going back and
Cyborg.
forth for a long time too.
Dana White's saying, "Oh, Cyborg's afraid to fight Amanda."
Yeah, he's saying that she doesn't want this fight, which doesn't make any sense because Cyborg came out that night and was like, "I want a rematch."
Oh yeah,
I want to run it back, and Amanda was the one that's like, "No, she has to wait 2 years." So for Dana to flip this on Cyborg is confusing to fans because like, whoa, because when Cyborg got knocked out, she's like, "Well, I want the rematch," and then Amanda was like, "Well, I want to wait 2 years to fight her again." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah. What? The logic behind that is weird.
And then Dana's come out, "Oh no, we offered that fight," and Cyborg turned it down. It's like, "Well, you're a fucking liar. We know that. Your word means nothing."
Yeah. Oh, well, that's part of the problem. Dana White just, I swear to God, like once a month, he just reminds us of why he should not be in charge or be the face of the UFC.
Not necessarily that he should be the face. It's that you can't take whatever he says. You almost want to go the opposite.
Well, but that's the point, though. Like he's not trustworthy, and not to mention just how poorly he talks about his employees. We call them fighters. These are his employees, man.
These are real people, man. They have real feeling. They're just trying to make some money. They're doing what they love to do. He talks so much shit about some of these fighters that just drives you insane.
He drove Demetrius Johnson out of the division. He talked
out of the UFC
or out of the UFC. Sorry, that's what I meant. Thank you. And I mean, he talked poorly about Jose Aldo when he was champ. He does this kind of crap, man. And I think Chris Cyborg's pissed off because Amanda has been saying no, Cyborg's going to hold off. Dana's been saying, no, we don't even know if we're going to re-sign Cyborg because this is the last fight on her current UFC contract. And he's saying that she's scared. This girl's got a reason to whoop some ass in this fight. And you got a poor girl that's 5'6". She's probably really nice because she's Canadian. And she's 6-0. And she's a grappler. You have to be more well-rounded. You have to be able to go.
Yeah, you got to be like Amanda Nunes. When you really look at it, was a perfect matchup for Cyborg because she could fucking box her hands off. Like she can box her with any person in the world, any woman. Well, I should say any woman, any MMA fighter in the world she could box with. Mm-hmm. That's a woman. Yeah, and she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so she can grapple her ass off too. The only thing about Amanda is her conditioning, but she put her away in the first round, so there was no question about that.
Yeah, and Amanda's also turned her conditioning around as of late too. So that's
she hasn't really been in dog fights.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Controlled.
That's true.
She's controlled pretty much every fight that she's been in since she's won the title.
In case you want some more reasons of why this is going to hurt a lot, let's just look at some of the stats, shall we? Cyborg, landed per minute, 6.76 significant strikes landed per minute.
You're talking about a woman. I mean, she boxes with professional boxers and has success. Like
57% significant strikes.
Do you remember what the name of the woman is that she spars with? Have you ever seen?
Oh yeah, I forget though.
I can't remember. She's a world champion though. I think she's one of the most dominant women fighters ever.
Yeah, and she makes Cyborg look small too.
Yeah, and they said Cyborg's had some success against her in just boxing purely.
Yeah,
not that she's won, but she's had some.
She has 69% defense in her stand-up. Oh, let's move on to grappling, shall we? How about her takedown defense, which is at 91%.
Which I'm pretty sure Yana Kunitskaya was the only one to take her down. She took her down right from the start because she just took her back, and then she just kind of – but she wasn't down for more than 10 seconds, I don't think.
Because that's some of the other stuff that comes into it. She's going to be way stronger.
Yeah.
She's just built like a tank, and she can survive.
Kind of like a Khabib where people are getting – like Felicia's going to get a hold of her. She's going to kind of touch her and be like, what am I touching? Like, what is this?
Am I touching a rock?
Yeah.
I don't even need to talk about.
I had more luck storming Area 51. What the fuck is this?
Great timing on that one. I love that. I don't even have to talk about her takedown offense because Chris Cyborg's because we don't need to. Felicia Phenom Spencer. Sorry, good night. I don't think this is going to be a good one for you.
Sorry, Felicia.
Cyborg is motivated more than ever, possibly, coming off of a knockout
loss.
This
is the worst time to fight Cyborg.
Yeah, she's
Amanda
pissed.
Picked the best time to fight her when she was comfortable. Everybody was picking her to win. She was on the top of her game. You're going to fight Cyborg coming off a knockout loss when Dana White talking shit about her, about how she's scared? Good luck.
Yeah, so... Losing your audio there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So, honestly, I think that this one's going to be a smackdown. I don't think anybody's going to deny that whatsoever. Any other thoughts, emotions, feelings that you have for this one?
R.I.P.
All right, with that being said, let's get our little bell.
And
Bing, bing, bing. It's time. All right. I'm not even going to bother asking you who you pick in this one. This one is by far the biggest split odds on here, as it should be.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that it's the biggest odd split. I would think that Cyborg would be the biggest odd split.
No, that's what I'm saying. This fight in general. Cyborg's the minus. No, Cyborg minus 700 to Spencer's plus 450.
Oh, okay.
So it's
I thought
not
you were talking about our next fight. Sorry, I was moving.
No, the bell was for the last fight, man. How you feeling, by the way?
Feeling good.
You feeling good?
Yeah.
You have a nice day?
Yeah. I've slept all day. This is the highlight of my day, which I love.
How many of those drinks have you? What are you drinking over there, by the way?
I'm drinking Captain Morgan Watermelon Blast because I ran out of whiskey.
What whiskey were you drinking?
Jack Daniels.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
I just want to give you some props there.
Yeah, thank you. I drink what we got.
I'm getting really good. I feel like I'm getting really good at hosting because I'm leaving the tantalizing main event there. Everybody's just like, I don't give a shit what your fucking day was.
Move the fuck on! God damn it! Nobody cares about what's in the glasses.
All right, man. Let's stop playing around. Let's get down to it. We have Frankie Edgar making his 10,000th title shot defense.
He's fought BJ twice.
Maynard.
Ben Henderson twice. Maynard twice. Aldo
twice. Belt 3 times total.
So I think he's had 6 title fights. 7.
Well,
No,
Aldo
6.
wasn't for. Well, I guess Aldo you can consider a interim title.
It was a title fight. I mean,
McGregor that's right. Yeah, that's right. They ended up giving Aldo back his title because McGregor.
That was a title fight.
Yeah, that was a title fight. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I think he's fought just about everybody.
This is his 7th title fight.
Yeah. So is there anybody else that we forgot? He's fought everybody. So, and he was supposed to fight. This matchup was supposed to happen before, by the way. Holloway got hurt. So that's when Frankie got matched up with the streaking Ortega,
who knocked him out.
Who gave him his first knockout loss of his career by Superman uppercut that took him off his feet and launched him into space. I think he's somewhere up there orbiting around Earth where Alistair Overeem's head was from.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody get lifted off the ground.
No, and you know what was funny? I swear to God, I spent probably the better part of not 30 minutes, maybe 15 minutes trying to think of the physics of having to lift somebody's body up. Because you figure we're not stiff boards, right? We're limber, our bodies move. So to come up and hit somebody and actually lift their feet off of the ground, the physics of that, man. I was contemplating that for 15 minutes.
You should have wasted your time.
Well, I did, man, because I was just considering.
I had
a
whiteboard with a bunch of math,
had a
bunch of formulas on it.
Where the hell did this lab coat come from?
MC doesn't equal square. What's happening?
But yeah, Edgar was still floating around. They had to grab him from orbit next to Alistair's head from the Nagano fight and bring him back down here for this matchup. But also saying that this is kind of just like a payback fight, I think, for Frankie. For Dana White, this is kind of hey, thanks for being the company man.
That, and I think this would have been Volkanovski's fight had he had a strong showing against Aldo, but he really didn't.
Yeah,
plus he went through some weird injury shit. In
that
Brazil.
Was such a disappointing fight. I don't even want to talk about that Aldo fight.
But he also went through some medical thing in Brazil. He went through some sickness or disease that he had that he was in the hospital. Did? Volkanovski.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this was his fight, but I think ultimately they're Frankie's a name.
The Brazilians have been pissed lately. Before the Amanda Nunes and Andrade winning against Rose, the Brazilians were kind of pissed. They've been losing quite a bit, it seems lately.
Before,
I think they drugged Volkanovski.
All Brazilians had lost on that card.
Yeah, oh my God, I know. That was a terrible night. They might have rioted and burned down that building if Andrade lost.
Which Andrade was losing up until she slammed her.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, back to this fight.
Back to the now.
Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. It's a fight in the making.
There's a video on YouTube of Chael Sonnen and Ariel's podcast where they ask, should you be worried about Max Holloway after his last fight? And this was interesting to me because it was like, we act like Max got his ass whooped in his last fight. I mean, he got beat. I think he lost 3 or 4 rounds, no doubt, to Poirier. But it wasn't like those rounds were uncompetitive. Like Poirier was just pouring it on.
Yeah.
He was just whooping Max out. Like he was edging him out for the most part in that fight.
Yeah.
It was just, to me, the thing that separated those two in that fight was that Poirier had power, Max didn't.
Yep, 100%. Agree with you on that one, 100%. Yeah, and that's crazy to say. I mean, it's not like he got finished by Poirier. He had a...
To the defense of Helwani and Chael Sonnen, like, no, I'm not worried about Max coming. Like, he's where he belongs. Max is a dog. He's going to come back. He's fighting a guy that's smaller than him. I'm not worried about him. I think he's the favorite in this fight, as he should be, and I think he's going to win. Yeah,
I don't even think that this is going to be close. I think that this is going to be a clinic. I think this will
be a little bit closer just because Frankie has cardio, and he's a 24-hour storm.
That's got to wear off though eventually. I mean, he's been in wars, and this is all in respect to Frankie. The dude's been in so many wars. He's always been the smaller guy.
But he's not facing a power puncher though.
He's not, but he's fighting somebody that can wear you down with volume punching.
Yeah, but I think Frankie has just too much heart and cardio just to purely be outworn.
So here's the thing. Here's what I think for Frankie. He's got to win the early rounds because Holloway is a notoriously slow starter.
Yep.
We saw that in both his fights against Aldo. Aldo was putting on a but Aldo's also the next level strike. I mean, yeah, I guess he did struggle a little bit to get rolling.
I wouldn't say he struggled, but it was a little bit closer than it was later in the fight.
Yeah, because he takes a lot of shots too. Yeah. He took a lot of shots.
And Dustin had his biggest moments early in that fight against Holloway.
Yeah. I think it's going to be early for Frankie. He's going to have to do something early. He can mix it up really well. He's used to being the smaller fighter. He fought at 150. He was a 155 champ, and he's like what 5'5", 5'6".
Yeah.
I mean, he's used to being the smaller guy. He's going to have to find some. He finds very creative ways to cover distance. That's what makes Frankie Edgar great.
Mm-hmm. He's just a great wrestler. Great boxing too.
And
great technique and footwork.
And that's what I'll be interested to see is, can he use his wrestling against Holloway? My initial reaction is no.
I don't think so either. I think Holloway's just too long for him.
He's too long. He's too long.
Holloway's got good takedown defense.
And he's good. And I just don't see
how. And you're not going to wear him out by pushing him against a cage. That's just not going to happen.
No.
Holloway's going to be like, dude, what are we doing here? Yeah. We can sit here all night. I'm going to fucking punch you in the face.
Yeah. Actually, let's look real quick. I wanted to see just kind of going back a little bit on both these guys' fights and stuff here. Frankie, always awesome and entertaining. Was it
Cub was his last fight, wasn't it? That's almost a year ago.
No way. Was Cub his last fight?
I feel like it was.
Let's check it out.
I feel like he's just been waiting.
He has been waiting because, like I said, I think
I feel like Cub, after he got knocked out by Bryan, I felt like Cub was his last fight. I don't know if he's fought since then. Has he?
You're right. April 21st of last year.
Yeah. I don't even know if he's been scheduled. I don't even know if he had to pull out. I don't know. I think I don't know if he's been waiting or been hurt.
Dude, that was a quick turnaround. That was only a month and a half after he got knocked.
People were wondering, too, like, why the fuck are you putting him against Cub? But then he dominated Cub.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, Frankie's Frankie. So. I have a quick funny story about Frankie Edgar. I remember watching Joe Rogan's podcast when he had Brendan Schaub on. And Shaw was talking about a story of – because he fought, I think, on the same night that Frankie Edgar had fought Maynard the first time. And you know how crazy that fight was.
Yeah.
And Frank was telling him, yo, Shaw, I don't even have a concussion. He's like, what? How do you not have a concussion that fight? He goes, I didn't even throw up. He goes, Frankie, that's not a telling sign that you have a concussion.
No, he did not. He did
not
say that.
That's a true story. Yeah, that's a true story.
Oh, I fucking
He's like,
that.
Didn't even have a concussion, man. Or didn't even throw up. It's like, Frankie, just because you didn't throw up doesn't mean you don't have a concussion. You got knocked out 4 times.
Oh man, you gotta love Frankie Edgar, man. I was sour when he first made the big scene when he beat BJ because BJ is like one of my all time favorites. I was sour about that, but man, you gotta love Frankie, man. He's a baller, man. Damn, was it really that long ago that he fought Mendez? It was 2000. No way. 2015.
Yeah, it was 2015. It was because Mendez had fought Frankie at the end of the year, the week before McGregor fought Aldo. After both of them had fought.
Is that when Mendez took his long layoff?
Right after that, yeah.
Yeah, right after that. I think that was when he got hit for PEDs.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Let's just go through Frankie's laundry list of guys.
Do we have to? I mean, all right. Pick any name of lightweights and featherweights between 2010 and now.
All right. Do you want me to be fair and just keep it to the featherweights he's faced?
Sure.
All right, let's go back. Henderson was obviously his loss at lightweight. So he fought Jose Aldo at featherweight.
Mm-hmm.
He fought Oliveira. He fought. Did he fight Penn at 145?
Yeah, he did.
Jesus Christ. Come on, Penn. He fought Swanson for the first time back in 2014. Fought Mendez. Fought Aldo again. Jeremy Stevens. Yair Rodriguez.
Whoops, Yair. Destroyed him.
Then fought Ortega. Then fought Swanson again. Now he's up against the featherweight king.
So he's fought every featherweight that's mattered.
Yeah, pretty much.
In the last... Actually, I shouldn't say in the last. Since featherweight division has mattered, he's fought every featherweight that's mattered.
Since 2013, when he fought Aldo for the
Except
first
for
time.
Conor. Other than Conor McGregor, which he's never going to get that fight anymore, he's fought every featherweight that's ever mattered.
Yeah, 100%. And then on the flip side, man, let's go.
You don't even have to pull up Max. Max has fought everybody. Let me say this. He hasn't fought Moicano. He hasn't, which I think he'd beat Moicano anyway. He hasn't fought Zabit. He hasn't fought Volkanovski. That's it.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
That's it.
Poirier, Ortega.
Which two of the three haven't even really been around that long.
Yeah. No, those are young guys. Those are next in line. Like, that's after Frankie.
Also,
That's post.
technically, all three are younger guys. Moicano's been around a little bit longer.
Yeah, Moicano's been around.
But Zabit and Volkanovski, who are really on the cusp of title shots, I think Zabit could challenge Max. I don't think Volkanovski, but I don't think he has the size to challenge Max.
I'll tell. Well, that and to see him hesitant against Aldo like he was.
Well, Aldo's different. It's just a different animal. When you're standing across the ring from somebody like Aldo, he's almost got that Anderson Silva type era about him.
Aldo was also outstruck Holloway in the first 2-3 rounds of both of their fights, but the problem is he gasses.
Aldo is just like BJ Penn. He's the greatest first round fighter that you could find.
Mm-hmm.
As good of a first round fighter, he's gonna light you the fuck up. But if you can survive the first 5-7 minutes, you're solid after that.
Yeah, and I think Holloway proved that both times he fought him in a row.
Holloway said, man, he's like, the way to beat Aldo is to test his ego.
Yeah, that's for sure. Or his cardio. I don't know if they're both related.
Yeah, well, they are, because you gotta entice Aldo into dogs in the dogfight, and the brawls, and the exchanges.
Real quick, Poirier, Ortega, Aldo, Pettis, Lamas, Stevens, Olivier, I almost said Holloway, Swanson, Cole Miller. I mean, that's just going back the last few years.
All right, let's just put this. His 3 losses in he has 4 losses in the UFC, right? He's got losses to Poirier twice, Conor McGregor, and he lost to Dennis Bermudez when he was really young.
Yeah. And hey, Dennis Bermudez was a great fighter,
he was
too.
He was a really solid.
Yeah, he was a really solid fighter
and Max
when
lost
he came
him
on
when
the
he was
scene.
20 years old.
I mean, and the other cool thing here is, man, you got so much experience in the cage. You got about 50 pro fights in the cage between both these guys. So
tons of experience. 2 guys, they have a lot of respect for each other, but they're both game for a fight.
Actually, this is kind of funny to see this. Talking about all the guys that are coming off of losses on this main event card. You're looking at a champ that's coming off a loss and a contender that's coming off a win.
I'm glad you brought that up. Who's the last champion to fight coming off a loss? Because I know the answer to this question.
Who's the last champ? You might have to unwind that there a little bit, buddy. On the bottom.
I'll just hold it.
You're fine. The last champ. Hold on. I'm trying to think.
It's pretty obvious when you think about it.
I'm trying to think. Somebody that would move up and down. Damn.
I thought, because they actually brought this up when I was talking about the Ariel and Chael podcast, that moment when they were talking about this, they're asking who's the last champion to come to defend a title after a loss. And this was the first fight that I thought about.
Who is it?
You're not going to take a guess?
It wouldn't be Silva. I mean, it could. Would you? No, Conor. You wouldn't consider that one.
He's never defended, so.
Aldo? No. I'm just trying to think his loss. Well, because he lost to McGregor, and then because I think he came back and had another fight before that.
Can I give you a hint?
Yeah.
We've mentioned his name in this podcast.
We have?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Frankie? Was it Frankie? No? It wouldn't be. No, because he lost
Frankie
to
never
Ben and
defended
then
his
moved
title.
down. Yeah, he lost to Ben and then
No,
moved.
he did defend his title one.
Yeah.
He defended against BJ.
Yeah. Damn, man. I don't know. I'm at a loss for it. Who is it?
BJ Penn.
BJ? Oh, because when he went up to 170.
George.
Yeah, when he went up to fight at
That was the
170
first
and then
super
came
fight.
back down. Damn. That's going way back.
Yeah. And
I didn't
guess
even think about
Guess
that.
what BJ did when he came back to lightweight?
He tore it up.
He dominated Kenny Florian.
He dominated 155 until he met Frankie Edgar.
Yep.
Nice. I love that. That's great. Going old school. I wouldn't have even thought that just because I wasn't even thinking that
That's the
far
first.
back.
That's honestly the first fight I thought about.
Was it really?
It was because they were talking about it. Ariel actually brought it up to Chill, and Chill's like, "Hold on, give me a second." And I thought about it. I was like, "Well, this is really the first era of super fights, and all the smaller guys have been winning." So I was looking back, and I was like, "BJ fought George when he was the lightweight champion. This has to be BJ." And that's what he said. He's like, "Yep, it's BJ. BJ lost to George. He quit, or the fight that his corner."
Yeah, threw in the towel for him.
And then he came back and beat Kenny Florian in his next fight to defend his lightweight belt.
Looked incredible against Kenny.
So.
That's a nice throwback there. Man, I wouldn't have even thought that. I wasn't even going back that far. I failed, so I apologize. Man, so, all right, let's get down to it, man. Keys to winning for Holloway.
Keep it range. Stay in the center of the octagon. Do your thing.
Wear him down. Stay in the center of the cage. Hit him with combos. I think that's what you need to do if you're Max Holloway.
Yeah.
To your point. That's my keys to victory, too.
I don't really see too many victories for
He's
for
5'11". Oh my God! Hold on, I got a stat for you. Because he's 5'11" to
He
Frankie
doesn't have a big
Edgar's.
reach, though.
No, that's why. Listen to this one. So Max Holloway is 5'11" and Frankie Edgar's 5'6". Holloway has a 69-inch reach. Frankie Edgar has a 68-inch reach. He's 5 inches shorter and has 1 inch less reach advantage. But the other thing is Holloway knows how to use his height. So even if his
He
reach
knows how to
isn't
get
there,
in and out of the pocket.
yeah. But also to Frankie's credit, he knows how to. But I just don't think it'll be enough.
No, I think Max is just too big for him.
Keys to victory for Frankie.
I just don't see much. I mean, he's going to have to get him down, but I just can't see him getting him down.
Yeah.
I don't see him outstriking Max. I don't see him knocking him out. I don't see him outlasting Max. This is not a good. I think this is as worse of a matchup for Frankie as there is.
Yeah. For him, it's going to be grappling. It's going to have to be mixing it up. If he can get successful in the grappling and mix it up and throw punches.
To me, which he has as good of timing on his takedowns as anybody, but he's got to hold Max down. I just don't see.
And
Max
that's a long way to go. That's a
Yeah.
long range that you have to cover.
Aldo showed that when Frankie has to out-wrestle a guy that's bigger than him and stronger than him, it's a little tough for him.
Yeah. So not much here. I think Frankie's definitely going to have to grapple. He's going to have to find something. I mean,
This is a huge hill for him to climb.
Yeah, save some crazy overhand right that clips Holloway coming in and gives him his first. Would it be his first knockout of his career? And gives him his first knockout. I mean, Frankie's going to have to make it dirty. He's going to have to grapple. He's going to have to do something big.
Yeah, I just can't see it.
Yeah.
I think Max I shouldn't even say bounces back because I think he looked great in the Dustin fight. Max gets back on the winning streak.
Yeah.
Keeps moving on. I think he's setting himself up for a fight with Zabit or Volkanovski.
Yeah, 100%. All right, man. Well, let's end it there. I mean, I don't think there's anything else. Is there anything else that you want to cover in this? I think we talked about everything that we needed to in this one.
Keep tuning in.
Yeah, both these guys, everybody knows. I already know your pick is Holloway. My pick is going to be Holloway.
Vegas' pick has got to be Holloway.
He's the minus 375 favorite to Edgar's
I know.
plus
I watched
285.
a YouTube video where a lot of pros pick. They all picking Holloway too. It's just, there's just not much Frankie has to offer.
Yeah. So I think that's it, man. The thing I want to go back to is something I talked about at the beginning of the podcast real quick. I want to go back to what is value for you. I know we're at like the hour, 15-minute mark, so we're looking pretty good on time here.
I'm actually glad you asked that because I think the name Max Holloway holds value.
$60 value?
I think it does.
Against an opponent that's...
I think it does because I think he brings the fight, right? Like he is the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just some guys, like a Cowboy or Justin Gaethje who are going to fight each other that when their opponent steps in the ring, they know they're in for a dogfight and they have to match that energy, right?
So you're...
Plus, I know I'm getting Chris Cyborg on the fight, so I know I'm going to get some fucking hands thrown.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just in the name Max Holloway and Chris Cyborg, I think you're going to get your $60 worth.
Yeah. So in 2 fights, you think $60 plus your ESPN pass per month. You think that's value in it? Yeah. No, I mean, most people don't. I think a lot of football fans have ESPN Plus anyways. If you're a college football fan.
As long as you use it for more than just MMA, it's the $5 isn't going toward this.
Yeah, and
we're sports fans as it is, so I go back. Plus, I watch fights that have been on ESPN. Like I watched the Masvidal Askren fight. They had the fights up from the last pay-per-view like the next day.
Yeah, they do.
So that's way better because
they don't make it easy to find though. I will say,
you just gotta type in the name of the person.
You do, but it's you. Then you, I think you go into the whole card though when you see their fights. Oh,
not for the last one.
Oh, okay.
Not for the last card.
The first few cards that they had on there, it would just give you the card, and you had to sort through the card. But anyways.
But even that.
So for you, just to summarize, then you think like you're thinking by fight. So for you, one fight can make it worth $60.
I think it can.
I would say generally, I think the people agree with you. And the perfect example of that is going back to thinking about McGregor versus Mayweather. People were willingly paying $100 for
McGregor
one
versus
match.
Khabib because that was not a stacked card.
No. No, but you also only paid $60. You also only paid $60 for that. You go back and think about Mayweather versus Conor. That was $100.
Yeah, but that's I don't know. That was just a spectacle.
It was a spectacle, but it was still a fight at the end of the day, and everybody paid $100 for it for one fight. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's certainly tough. Max,
as a hardcore fan, I think this is a $60 worth card. I like the Jeff Neal versus Nico Price fight. I like 3 of the 5 fights on the pay-per-view, which is more than not. I like more of the fights than I don't. I don't even necessarily don't like any of the fights, but the 3 of the 5 I'm really excited about. So
you have 10 guys and girls on this main event. 1, 2, 3. No, sorry. 1, 2,
you have 6
3,
six
4,
of the 10 coming off the
5. I think 5. 5 of the 10.
Well, you got 4. The first 4 are
Baral came off. Oh wait, no, you're right.
Holloway.
You're right. That's right. 6. So 6 of 10.
6 of 10.
So more than 50% of these people are coming off a loss.
Do I care because Cyborg got knocked out by the greatest woman fighter ever? I don't care about that. Max is coming off a great fight with Dustin Poirier where he looked great, and that was a great fight. That the only reason that people aren't talking more about it is because it was overshadowed by Adesanya versus Gastelum, which is going to be the fight of the year.
Yeah,
it's 100%. I don't know. To think that there would be a better fight than that in the year, I'm excited for that if there is anything coming. But to get overshadowed by that is no small feat.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as the top 4 guys, I mean, you got some knockout guys. Like we said, Abier, Mercier, he's a decently entertaining fighter. He's not overly exciting, but he has generally exciting fights.
For me, he's a prelim fighter.
He is.
Because he's good all around, but he's...
To me, if you were talking top to bottom, if we're just talking every fight in general, this fight's lacking in the prelims, in the early prelims.
Yeah, I agree.
That's to me is where.
Do you think they're taking advantage of a great Canadian crowd? The Canadians, the Canucks,
you gotta have your
Canadians,
show up. Man. When you go to Canada, you have to have your Canadians. So
yeah.
I don't really care. I think this is a good fight for Canada. You can't overload unless you're going to Toronto. You can't overload a card in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you for hardcore fans like us that watch. I mean,
let's be honest.
Many events.
If Max Holloway wasn't on this card, it would not be exciting to us. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, let's say Valentina Shevchenko was fighting that Asian chick. Would you care about this card?
Oh, the Chinese
Yep.
Shang Chi or something like that. I think it is. Or
whoever
Shang
she scheduled to fight,
whatever it
free
is.
Fight.
I mean, Valentina is exciting, especially after her last knockout win. But yeah,
it wouldn't put that much into you though.
Paying $60, that would be hard.
Yeah,
to justify.
The name Max Holloway is going to make you pay $60.
Fair enough. Good point.
Because you know what you're getting. Because Max isn't a quick ender. He can take a shot, so you know you're going to get more than just a round.
Yeah.
And you're going to get an exciting fight.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, and that's why I wanted to bring this up, just kind of talk about that, because I think that's something that you see a lot when you go into the forums and you listen, and you're kind of reading about what everybody else is feeling, thinking, talking about. A lot of that is what's worth $60, man, when it comes down to these fight cards, because this year's been insane. This has been a great year to be a UFC fan. On the flip side, no, it hasn't, because ESPN, that whole thing, it has been a nightmare of a situation.
I think they'll figure it out, though.
They will. No, they will for sure. But otherwise, I mean, it's been a great year of fights, not as far as the subscriptions go.
Phenomenal knockouts, dude. There's going to be a huge contender for knockout of the year.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck being game bred. You want to talk about saying hometown boy, Jorge Masvidal, I'm riding that bandwagon all the way.
305?
Yes, sir.
That's not
Fuck
home.
Leon Edwards. Fuck the British.
Tell me how you really feel. Independence Day was like 3-4 weeks
I
ago.
hope Masvidal kicks his head off and then pours some tea on his fucking cold corpse.
I
don't even have that much hate for Leon Edwards. I just love Masvidal that much. It's super necessary, by the way. It's super necessary.
Leon Edwards, yeah, I think he's in for something grueling if he fights Masvidal.
Yeah, you don't want no smoke, son.
No, not after his last fight against RDA, where he just kind of outmuscled RDA. That was it.
Yeah, RDA is a G, but Masvidal is real deal, son.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think just to sum it up, I think I agree with you for like what it costs. Max Holloway, 100%. He was off this card. Maybe not. If Cyborg was off this card, would that make a change for you?
Nope.
It's all Holloway, huh?
Holloway, and I like the Jeff Neal versus Nico Price fight.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it's top heavy.
Cyborg's a sweetener to me.
Yeah, it's very top heavy. I'll watch Chris Cyborg fight any day of the week. Max Holloway any day of the week. The only thing that I think weakens Max Holloway is that I just don't think that this is a good fighter for him.
Yeah, this isn't the.
Frankie Edgar's great.
In terms of an exciting matchup, this isn't the best opponent for him. Zabit and Volkanovski, I think, would be better matchups.
Yep.
For more exciting fights.
Yep.
Actually, I think Volkanovski's more of a new age Edgar in a way.
Or Chad Mendes. Either way,
they're all type of Frankie Edgar.
They're all interchangeable.
I think Zabit's the fight for him though at this point.
Zabit, yeah, the tall, long guy. But Zabit doesn't have the cardio right now to go with him.
Or the record. That's it, or the track record.
Holloway would finish Zabit. But that's for another day.
We'll see.
I
want to see Zabit in another top contender fight before I decide on that.
I don't think he'll get. I think Zabit is going to go straight into a Max Holloway
I think he'll
fight.
get another fight. He has to get another fight. I think he gets Yair or somebody.
Who does Max fight next?
Volkanovski. Volkanovski beat Aldo. Whether it's exciting or not, Volkanovski beat Aldo.
How long is Volkanovski out for?
I think he's good to go at this point.
All right. You're probably right on that then. All right, man. Well, I think that closes up shop for us, man. I think we've dragged this thing on long enough. We had some good conversations about, price, the price of the UFC, not necessarily Nico Price. We had a fantastic conversation because you don't like Nico Price and I do. So
I like Nico Price. How dare you, first of all.
So, man, everything's good. We're good. This is going to be.
Let me just say, before we close this, I hope Nico Price wins. I'm rooting for Nico Price.
No, you can't change it. You can't change it.
I said that before. I said I was picking with my brain, not my heart. My heart's with Nico. You know this. Stay at 239. Fuck you.
I don't even think you needed to. I mean, shit, man. Would you even suggest anybody tune in for the prelims or early prelims?
If you got nothing else to do, if you're just sitting around the house,
we've done that a few times.
Yeah, that's usually what we do. Right before the main card, we're like, well, we got nothing else to do. We might as well turn on the prelims, see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. If you're gonna catch anything on the prelims, you should catch Pantoja versus Figueroa.
I'd say catch the Hakeem Dawodu fight. You never know when he's gonna break out.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, so you got 2 on the prelims. Otherwise, actually, both of those fights should probably be on the main card over the 2, but obviously they're in Canada, so they need some Canadians to fight. But anyways, thank you everybody for joining in. Had fun as usual. Tune in. We'll catch up with you Sunday night for the recap show. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you then. Peace.